Hello, my lovelies, and welcome to the Surgi Verse Pod, episode 1. Oh my god, the very first one. How about that, right? Just coming to live-ish. Of course, this is pre-recorded. But yeah, welcome to the very first episode of this lovely podcast. My name is Surgi Desu. I am a black, non-binary, trans-identifying, pansexual, polyamorous little chaos being from the most eastern of coasts, originally from North Carolina. And I am here to bring to you the many thoughts that run within my ever so active brain. Today's episode is mainly just going to be about me, not in such a conceited manner, but it's like you kind of want to understand not only what you're getting into, but who you're getting into. Yeah, something like that. Who? No? Maybe? Anyways, I digress. So I'm just going to kind of give a breakdown of like what's been going on for me. For some of you lovely lot, you've known me for a couple of years. You've known me for some time. A lot of my lovelies I've met in the heart of the pandemical. And some I've known way longer than that. But either way, whomever you may be, however you may have gotten to this point, welcome, and I hope that I can do some sort of justice as far as presenting some sort of content to your lovely ears. And I guess I should touch on that for a brief moment, right? As far as the potential of doing video podcasts, that is something that I'm heavily considering. I've actually been talking with one individual that is very close to me as far as doing like a sit down in-person podcast where we're both just on their couch just riffing and being absolutely unhinged. I'm looking forward to that so much you don't even understand. And they know who they are. If they don't, then I will gladly get in contact with them about this, because it has to happen. We have to be chaotic together on camera, not just on the microphones. It has to be on camera. But anyways, with that, I do feel like it is impertinent that I get started with this whole spiel about like who I am, what I am planning to do. I guess even break down like how I desire to go as far as like structuring with my podcast, because I'll tell you this, I didn't really go into looking up a guide on how do you structure a podcast. I just said, hey, let me find different like programs and stuff that I can do within a web browser, because I'll pull the curtain back, as they like to say. I mean, I get that that's a reference to like the Wizard of Oz. I'm not really a big fan of it. I'll let you peek behind the scenes. I'm currently only running off of a very basic Google Chromebook, and that's basically all I have right now as far as like computer stuff. I am looking to, one, get employed again, and two, get a standalone desktop PC deal so I can do some heavier things and I can have some like real beef behind my editing and other things. But yeah, baby steps, right? Baby steps. But yeah, as far as like the structuring is, as far as like length of time, I can't really get into detail if I'm going to be one of those people that's going to have these long-winded, near 1 to 2 hour long podcasts, because as much as I know that I could just blah 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 for a certain amount of time, I'm also like just one person, right? And I feel like I'm just gonna start bleeding together way too much stuff, and these episodes are just gonna feel like an absolute brain rot. And I don't want to do that to you guys, or maybe you're into that. I don't know. Maybe you like that sort of thing. Maybe you want me to just give you like an hour of pure brain rot when I just go and talk about just random just stuff that correlates in no way, shape, or form to whatever else I started talking about. I wouldn't mind doing that. Maybe I'll have a whole episode where it's just titled, Do Not Click on This. This is just pure brain rot for about an hour. I hope you understand. Maybe I'll do that in the future. I'm not above doing something like that. But for now, I do want to try and get into some things that they mean a lot to me in some fashion, or I've just had this thought or string of thoughts and I want to get it off my chest. But without further ado, we can go ahead and get into the meat and taters of this whole thing, which is, who am I? Where have I been? And even talk about where I aim to go. So let's get to it, right? So I alluded to like the basis of who I am, but I guess to delve more into it, I'm somebody that has been through a number of situations in like the past couple of years with like essentially the pandemical up until this point, where it's like I've had to really start delving deep into myself with like my identity, with like a lot of the things that I value as far as morals and principles and such, and just start to understand who is Surgi, who is Surgi Desu, or Surgi W. And I mean, if you know what the W is, then yeah, we'll leave it at that. I'm not gonna try and give the whole thing. That's also something else. I am working on getting a name change. Slowly but surely. That way I can be official. I am the eldest of 3 children by law. My father, of course, met my stepmother. She already had my lovely sister, who I am hoping is listening to this. If so, how you doing, Beans? How you doing? I love you very much. And of course, I have my young brother. He's the baby. He is truly the baby. I've been really thinking about my relationship with them in these past couple of years, as I also kind of think about the relationship with myself. And there are times where I'm just like, wow, I really am just like the eldest of like a trio of kids. And then it's like the reality of like, I'm also the eldest of a trio of kids where it's like we're all like very much queer. And I don't think I've ever could have imagined something like that being a reality, where it's like I have them, right? I have my sister, I have my brother. But then it's like I've spent so much time becoming infatuated with the concept of having a chosen family. And that has been where that's where I've been able to really discover who Surgi is. And just realize that it's like, yeah, these people are helping me really put together the pieces that I didn't really have when I initially came to terms with like, yeah, I'm not cisgender, I'm not heterosexual. I'm something way more than that. And it's been very refreshing and very alleviating and even affirming to be able to be in this position where it's like, yeah, this is who I am. There's still a lot that I have to learn. I could never call myself like an activist per se, but to say that I'm not going to be somebody that's going to pipe up or go toe to toe with somebody that's clearly just being blissfully ignorant and just wants to demonize and threaten somebody that's just trying to live in their truth. It's like, no, I can't do that anymore. And it's like I'm working on being way more, not aggressive, but being a firmer individual in that sort of situation. Not like I'm trying to always incite a riot or something, but it's like if I see somebody that's being backed into a corner, no, I'm going to be in there. It doesn't really matter about the gravity of the situation. It's like, look, I need this person to know that they are not just here fending for themselves, because I've been in a situation like that. It has not been fun. it is something I'm still working through and processing, even at my ripe age of 32 going on 33. But I'll touch more on it. I feel like I'm striving away from like going further back. So like I'm originally from North Carolina. Grew up in a very small town in the northeast portion of North Carolina, kind of going towards like the shoreline and everything. And I've been in several different. I've been in like about a dozen states. Yeah, I've lived in about a dozen states, from North Carolina to Virginia, to Maryland, to Pennsylvania, Florida, Indiana, Kentucky, Tennessee, Utah. Where else have I stayed? Oh my goodness. Had a very brief stint in Florida, Georgia. I know there's another state I'm forgetting. But yeah, needless to say, I've lived in a couple of states. I'm very much a nomadic individual. I love the sense of being able to venture out in various places and locations and just experience what each place has to offer. But it's the fact that it's like I also have to understand how it affects me and what exactly am I bringing with me. Because it's like the concept of like, hey, yeah, I can change these places and be in these different locations. Oh yeah, I almost forgot I lived in Utah too. Wait, no, I said Utah. Anyways, I digress. But just knowing that it's like, even though I go to all these different places and meet all these different people, like I'm still very much bringing myself with me, and that was a concept I didn't really have at the forefront for a long, long time. So it's like, yeah, I would be in a place and it's like, oh god, this place is trash, dude. Like, oh, I'm not really getting a good feel. Not really getting the vibes from this place. And it's like, no, honey, I think it's just that you don't really get the vibes of yourself, and you're not comfortable with yourself for whatever ungodly reason. That is the plight of being an unhealed individual who's just kind of letting life raw dog you, and you're just kind of living the it is what it is style. And it's like, I realized that caused me a lot of issues with a lot of different people that were just trying to be there for me. And it's like, I still feel bad for how I was with a lot of different people. And it's a process for myself where it's like, okay, I have to make sure that I'm constantly forgiving myself. For some of these people, I hope they do know who they are. If not, then I can come to you direct with it. And I've worked on making amends with some of these people. Some of the people that I've said things and it's like we just went on this like nonverbal break or what have you. And it's like, or I just wronged them in some fashion, and it's like I never really gave them a proper like response back to like them acknowledging that I did something wrong. I was just like, okay, they either told me to leave or I just upped and left, because I was like, well, I feel like I've overstayed my welcome. It's time to peace out. And it's like, that's not how you grow. That's not how you solve things. That's just like how you live in your falsehood, and you just decide that you don't want to grow up and be an adult, or not even just be an adult, but be like a genuine human being that gives a damn about other people, right? And it sucks. Like, I understand that I'm a very flawed individual and I still make a lot of big mistakes, and I'm pretty sure that for some of the people that I've talked to, I've rubbed them the wrong way in some fashion that either they did not want to come to me directly about because they were hoping that I had enough insight to acknowledge that, and that I would eventually be like, okay, let me not do this again. Not even requesting or desiring an apology, or they're more so like, okay, if they continue to do this again, then I'm just gonna go ahead and be like, yo, like, what's going on? Why are you having this as like a repeat offense? Why are you having this as like this is a habit that you have, and I need you to pay attention to this, because if you don't, then unfortunately I'm going to have to leave or whatever. And I don't want that to happen anymore. It's just, now that I've really started finding some amazing people in my life, it's like now more than ever, it just means the world to me to be able to hold on to what I have with them, in the sense of like this sense of completeness, or this sense of just like belonging, I could say. Because it's like there have been a lot of times where it's just like, for me, I always had this floating feeling. And I noticed it quite a bit when I was in Tennessee, and then when I was living in Pennsylvania as well. And like in this last year of being in Baltimore, it's like I've been able to really just start shifting a lot of things and changing the way that I work and the way that I move, and just implementing some better habits, right? Like the last 3 months, I'll put that there. The last 3 months, I have been actively working on like my physical well-being, because it's like in the last year I've been just toiling away to change a lot of my mental processing. It still needs work. There's still a lot of bugs. And that's okay, because that's me acknowledging that I am human, I am flawed, and that I'm not going to be picture perfect. As somebody that has a perfectionist complex, that is something that I have to continue to tell myself. I have to kind of punch myself in the face with it and just be like, it is what it is. That, in that case, having an it is what it is mentality is acceptable. It just be like, yo, it really do be like that. I can't be perfect. I'm not going to be like 100% pinpoint accurate with this. Like, just accept, embrace the suck. Shout outs to my road dog, my chaos road dog. Just, I have to embrace the suck. And that's been a fun experience, but by fun, I mean, damn, I still cringe at times, but it's like it's gonna have to happen. Otherwise, I'm just going to never get to have true life experiences, and I don't want that. But going further into like this process that I've been through, like I went ahead and I proceeded to do some stuff with yoga. I started implementing some yoga in my life to really just, like, unfortunately, like, it isn't on a regular basis. It's like once a week now. It was like twice a week this past month, which I thought was amazing. But it was more so a testing period, because it is a community event. It's a free community event. Our instructor, Artie, she is amazing. She's been doing it for over 10 years, but she's also got like a regular job where she is the yoga instructor for the local sports ball team here, the Ravens. Yeah, that's that sports ball team, because sports. And I understand that. She goes out of her way to make this possible for the community of Baltimore, and I can't thank her enough. It is on me at that point where it's like I say, do I want to get more out of this? Where I start trying to implement yoga in my own like fashion, taking her teachings and her learnings. She was very patient, very open-ended. She was not the type of person where she's like, hey, your form is terrible, you're not going to get the full experience out of this. It was always very much it was purely suggestion based, but she was like, hey, if you're not feeling it, don't do it. That right there is something that I needed, as somebody that I've tried yoga maybe twice in my lifetime, where I downloaded an app and I was like, let me try and practice these poses. And I never felt like I was doing it in a fashion that made sense. Because it's like some of those apps, they would always have it where it's like, hey, yes, do this for 30 seconds or for a minute. And it's like, it wasn't really giving, it was just like, hey, here's a picture of the pose, or hey, here's a small gif of the pose. Now do it for this amount of time. Okay, good job, we're going to take a break. Or hey, we're going into this pose. That was like, it wasn't a great intro to that, but it was something. It at least gave me like a window into that, or a door opening to that. On top of that, I have been changing my dietary intake. Part of it is per my own desire to feel better and move better and even look better in some cases. But also because, like, and I talked about this briefly in one of my older blog posts, I've noticed that my tolerance, or rather my ability to eat certain foods, has changed just gradually. It's gradually changing. Where certain foods, they trigger a very nauseous feeling for me. And it's not even like, oh, this food wasn't prepared properly. It I feel like maybe I am developing some sort of allergy, or maybe it is just my neurospicy kicking in, and it's like, honey, I know you think you can have this, but you can't because there was something specifically off about this. So now I'm going to force your body to go ahead and hit the eject button if you keep eating this. And it's very defeating because I remember that I was at, like, for my because I did a 4.5 month school for HVAC, like a trade school. And they had an amazing little cookout like a couple of weeks ago just to kind of celebrate. Hey, you guys did it. We're getting ready to graduate. Woo, woo, woo. Here's a cookout. The cookout was immaculate. The food was really good. It wasn't nothing lavish, like they had like some ribs or anything. Like they had the very basic burger hot dog deal with a whole bunch of chippies and drinkies. They had some potato salad, macaroni salad, and they had fried chicken wings. That was the star of the show. So I mean, everything was beef. Everything was cooked through, seasoned. I had the burger. I had the dogs. I got to feeling like I wanted to throw up, and I was just like, oh God. And it's like part of my brain was like, maybe this means that we're starting to get closer to being like a full-fledged vegan, because for a while I was delving into having vegan-based meals. Like I would do like the pasta deal, and I would do like for the meat sauce and the meat, I would do mushrooms and all that other stuff and just make like a vegan pasta sauce. And like maybe by training my body to be like that, I was becoming less accepting of beef, if that makes sense. Like if that's not how, for anybody out there listening, if that's not how it really works, hey, blow me up, I don't care. But like for me, I just felt like maybe this is me changing how I do my intake or how I like enjoy food, and that's okay. Because I know I can't have certain things forever, and I'm fine with that. As far as the chicken wings go, I was able to stomach the chicken wings a little bit better, but I think the damage was already done, and I was like, if I, like, it was at that point where it's like, it wasn't even the chicken wings' fault. I think it was just like me still trying to digest the burger and the hot dog, and I was just like, this sucks, dude, this sucks. And yeah, and I mean, I've had experiences like that before. Like, I'm gonna do a podcast that is completely dedicated to food, so I don't want to get too in depth with it. But like, it's gonna be food takes and all this other stuff, and how it correlates with being neurospicy. And yeah, it's gonna be a good time. So maybe I'll do that in a few weeks. But moving on, I've been getting better with drinking water. I've definitely been one of those. The stereotypical queers where it's like, water, what's that? I don't drink water. My water comes in the form of insert beverage here that is completely not the same thing. Like, I was the type where it's like, well, I'm drinking seltzer water. It has water in the name. That's okay, right, guys? I wasn't, for the longest time, I didn't drink like traditional soft drinks or anything. Maybe I would have juice here and there, but it wasn't like Hawaiian punch or anything where it's just chock full of sugar and food coloring, because I became very like self-conscious, not about my weight and stuff, but just like how it was making me feel. And it's like, especially with something full of sugar, I just noticed that when I stopped getting so wrapped up in that sort of like thing, I would feel a little bit better. And I'm glad that I did that, because it's like, even though I'm only 32, I don't like the idea of feeling even worse than I possibly can going forward. And I know that I can do a lot of things to remedy that. And it's not just go to the gym, walk, and all this other stuff, get into martial arts or whatever. It comes with what you put into your body. That's the biggest thing, what you put into your body. That's what I had to come to terms with, is like, for me to be like, let's say I want to drop 30 pounds, which I think I've actually managed to achieve to some degree. Because I remember I weighed myself a long time ago, and I think the highest I got up to was like a 270 something pounds. Like the biggest I've ever been was like right around 300 pounds, but I was like younger. And the smallest I've ever been is like a buck 50. As far as like past the age of like 19, 150 pounds has been the smallest I've ever been. Now, I've probably fluctuated in the last 2 weeks, but I remember doing like a weigh-in recently, and I was like 242 pounds. So I'm clearly doing something right. I'm feeling a little bit better. I'm able to walk longer distances. I don't feel as winded. I can do a little bit more jogging and stuff. So there's something very important about your physical well-being, especially when you hit your 30s. As far as like some other things like getting into these doctor appointments, we'll get to that point. One thing at a time. One thing at a time. But to get into some other things that I'm experiencing right now, of course, I did allude to going to a schooling program, a trade school, if you will, getting my certifications, becoming a certified HVAC apprentice. That way I can be like a dual threat, because I also worked on many moons ago being a apprentice in the field of commercial and residential painting. So to have both of those under my belt, it helps me way more than I'm willing to admit, because as somebody that doesn't necessarily like the idea of like traditional manual labor and stuff, I do understand that if I want to have a much more comfortable life, that I have to adhere to the current game being played. That way that I can make money and I can start exploring these things that I want to do, and being able to take care of certain people in my life that I want to take care of, or support certain people that I always said that, hey, yeah, I want to go ahead and just drop random money on my friend. Or if they're like for me, I am one of those people that I friend a lot of artists, because I see myself as somebody that wants to eventually get to a point where I don't even want to just be like, hey, I'm going to commission you. It's like, hey, I understand that you might be making this your everything. This is how you're making your money. I'm just going to give you money to support what you're doing. Maybe you're trying to get some new hardware or tools and stuff. I'll just give you the money. I don't even care about getting commission, stuff like that. That's the type of person that I am in my heart. But to achieve that, I have to put in the work so that that can become not just a dream, but a reality. And I just realized that it does help having experience and skills in certain things. I still love the idea of being able to have a remote job. If I could get a remote job of some sorts, I would. I've tried very hard to, and it's just I don't know the right people. I don't have the right credentials. It's just, it is what it is. I don't stress about it though. If it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. I'll try and put myself out there more, try to get to know certain people that might have an in or whatever. Like, that's something I haven't fully explored, but as somebody that is very much awkward when it comes to social experiences and interactions and such, like, I'll do my best, Chief. I ain't gonna promise you like this amazing experience without doing too much masking and feeling like I'm gonna vomit because I'm doing too much masking. Yeah, just it's bad, dude. Like, I've gotten to a point where I am very much just an unfiltered individual, and there are times where it's like somebody is just they'll do nothing to me, but I'll be in my space of like, I don't address it. That's on me. Like that's something I need to get better with. But it's like I've noticed that with some of the people that I've interacted with, where I'll be nose deep in something. I might be watching videos, I might be reading something, I might be doing music, but that is like my quiet time, if you will. And somebody will have the audacity, and I say that loosely. Somebody will come up to me, they'll acknowledge me, and they'll want to be like, "Hi, hey, what's up, bud?" And I'll immediately have this face of just like disappointment and distaste because you have addressed me, you're perceiving me. Why? Do you not see that I am in the midst of enjoying my disassociation period where I'm not even really on this plane of existence, yet here you are pulling me back into reality? Who has sent you? And I want to try and get better with that, but not too much, because there's sometimes where it's like it's very necessary, especially if it's somebody that I've helped and I've tried to do stuff for or what have you, or I just always see you and you always trying to pull me up about something, because that's another thing. And it's like, look, if you didn't get it the first several times, mate, I don't know what I could do for you. I think you should just go to somebody else. I'm not doing something or doing enough for you that you just understand it. So why don't you find somebody else? Like, I'm not even gonna be like, why don't you understand this, bro? It's like, look, clearly I'm not explaining this well enough for you. So I'm doing a bad job. I'm gonna relinquish my status with you. I think you should find somebody better suited to teach you this. So please do that. That's how I feel about that. It's just, it gets rough sometimes, and I understand that it's very much me not having addressed certain things, and it's like, Surgi, why exactly are you feeling irritated about this? Like, I could be a very like fickle case, and I feel like I should touch on that now. I think that will be our little segue, is to touch on that right now, because my goodness, like my biggest thing is being like a germaphobe in such a bad way that I feel like it would cause certain people to just be like, I'm just going to stay away from you because you got issues. And yes, I do have issues. I can admit that. I can admit that wholeheartedly on this day and going forward. Because like a big pet peeve of mine, it has everything to do with like my bed or wherever I'm dwelling to sleep on. If my bed, like even if my bed is not made, my biggest thing is this: do not feel like you need to sit on it without my consent. Do not feel like you need to put any old random item on it. Do not even touch the bed unless you have gone about like washing your hands. Like I said, it's bad. Like I have no problem admitting that to whomever is watching or listening to this, rather. Because it's like I'm still processing why that bothers me so much, and I can only think about this one instance where I was in Virginia, and I was temporarily displaced, and I lived in a shelter. And it's like it was one of those situations where it's like, if you don't come back at a certain time, your bed is up for grabs. And it's like me, like that scared the piss out of me, because I was like, look, I'm not really trying to live on the streets anymore. So I made sure I got my butt back, but I was like, I guess I was sitting too far back at the line or whatever. I was within the confines of the time, but I was in the back of the line. And for some reason, this Joe Blow decided that he wanted to plop his stinky butt on the bed that I was designated, and it just made me feel some type of way. Like, I didn't lash out on him or anything. It's just that it was just like it put like a mental scar on me, because I was like, this random individual who hasn't gone about even trying to take a shower or anything. Because it's like, for the people that are able to make it in there, they get assigned a bunk or whatever. And it's like his bunk was nowhere near mine or whatever. So I think it was him just being an asshole and saying, yeah, I'm just going to plop on this bed. It looks kind of comfy, even though they're all the same, literal. They're the same feckin' bed. And I was just like, from that point on, I was like, nobody is ever going to put their stinky just digits or whatever on my bed. Wherever I'm putting myself on, you don't need to be on. And it just really started this like obsession, if you will. I call it an obsession, and that's what I have to work on more. But it's like I'm trying to not make it, I'm not trying to justify it, but it's like there are certain things where it's like, if you have just come from being out somewhere and you've been playing in the grass, you've been sitting on public spaces, this, that, and the third, or maybe, or the biggest one is like, if you just came in from doing some hard labor where you've gotten covered in stuff, and you know what, that just made me think of another instance where somebody was like explaining like a situation where a guy came back from doing like some welding, and he was like shaving a lot of metal, and he had shavings on his bed, and he went ahead, he laid on the bed, he took a nap, he got up, finally got around his washing his butt, and then he laid back in his bed. He ended up waking up with like shavings and stuff embedded in his skin. And I was just like, yeah, and it almost justified that thought that I had. And I know that that's not always the case, but it's like me being a germaphobe, my thing is like, whatever you had going on outside, you keep it outside. Heck, go sit on the couch or something. That's like the public space. I always associate that as like the public space. So go sit on the couch. Don't come and like put your butt on my bed or whatever. And that goes double for things that you bring in or whatever. Because it's like, I remember there was a cousin that came over, and he like had his backpack, but his backpack had been sitting on something like a puddle or something. And then he set it on my bed, and like on the edge of my bed, and it was just sitting there. And then he like took it off, and I was like, wait, why is my bed wet? And he's just like, oh no. And I was just like, whatever. And so it's just like, I don't, yeah, I that is my sanctuary. If anything, wherever I lay my head at, that is my sanctuary. So I try to keep it as pristine as possible. I'm not saying that I go and I wash my sheets every heckin' day. I'm not saying that I always put on fresh linen or whatever every day. But it's like, to long story short it, if I have my clothes and I've been out and about, I've been ripping and running, I've been doing this and the third, when I come home and I'm like, I need to get into bed, my thing is, I have clothes set aside specifically for me to just lounge on the bed. I have my bed lounging clothes, and that's that. I take off my outside stinky clothes and I go wash my booty, and then I put on my time to go lay on this bed. And it's like, there have been instances where I've been so obsessive about like, I need to make sure that I maintain my cleanliness, that I will, if I have to go out and like use the bathroom or something, I'll make sure that I do not allow like any splashing or anything. I make sure that my pants legs are rolled up so they're not dragging on the bathroom tile or anything. Like, I go above and beyond with this. Like I said, it's obsessive. You can call me out on this. You can drag me for this. That's fine. Let me tell my truth. I am not ashamed about this. I just know that, like, I do not want to have anything transported into where I lay my head at, because if I get sick because somebody put something on my bed, or because I was like, oh, it's gonna be fine, and I done brought in some icky stuff and it's gone on my bed, they will never hear the end of this. I will be salty until the ends of time, because it's like, this is exactly why I do this, da 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 da, rah, 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 rah. And it's like, yeah. So thank you for coming to my TED Talk on that. But I don't even know where I came from after that. I'm so sorry. But this past year, I've had to do a lot of work and just really starting addressing and being more honest with myself, and just realizing that there are a lot of things that I just do not care for anymore. And it's like, it's very refreshing. The biggest thing, and I think I'll actually make this a part of tomorrow's blog post, is like social cues. Like, I've gotten very comfy with just completely, like, stone facing, non verbaling when somebody tries to hit me with social cues and stuff. Or, like, they tell some very just unnecessary, off the wall joke, and I'm just like, okay, .jpg. And I think I could do more of that, but I also think that I could be very much like a vocal individual that just questions why the hell somebody is like coming at me with something as just off the wall as that. So I think that'll be the next step in my evolution of becoming a baddie, one that stands up for all their friends and family and such. Yeah. What else should I discuss? What else should I guess I should also discuss the road forward, right? As I look at my time frame, I'm closing on 41 minutes. Heavens to Betsy, I didn't think I'd make it here. I was sitting here like before the light went red. I was just like, damn, girl, you think you can get to like even 3/4 of an hour? Do you even think you can touch 3/4 of an hour? And I was just like, maybe. I think I can yap it. I think I can get some yappage going. And here I am, like closing in on a full ace hour. Do I think I'll actually get to that point? Well, for the lovely folks at home, you will see where that little scrubber's at, and you'll see how close you are to the end, I guess. Yeah. But yeah, like the road forward for me, aside from obviously becoming employed, and so I can no longer be a broke bitch TM, would be to do more content. I definitely want to do more content. The biggest thing for me is like I don't want to just be a content creation machine where it's like my life is literally content, but it's like I've spent so many years just watching people, listening to people, being a glorified consumer machine that it's like I've actually been able to formulate my own stream of conscious, and I want to not necessarily join the club and say, hey, yeah, I do content, guys. You want to check my content? But just like, hey, I would like to see if you're interested in hearing my perspective on things or just where I'm coming from, or even just give me pointers on things. Or it's me wanting to connect with people. That at the end of the day, that is how I perceive or I view content being created. People wanting to bring together communities, and it's like I want to be somebody that helps bring together some community or communities. Okay, I dropped that, and that's, yeah, I'm keeping that in. I deserve to be booed for that. I'm sorry. Intrusive thoughts. But yes, I would like to get into doing other forms of content. The thing that's always going to be my magnum opus, if you will, is short film. As somebody that loves to write and loves to try and create stories and universes and all these things, like I have characters, universes, but I've been unable to pull the trigger. So that is what I feel I need to work on going forward. And I feel like by doing this, I will eventually get the necessary components within myself to say, yes, I'm going to do this. And also be able to shed that perfectionist mentality, that perfectionist complex. Because I'm sitting here and I know part of the reason why I'm not doing that is because I'm just like, oh God, but I need it to be like this. I need it to be just right. And it's like, bitch, it doesn't matter if it's not right, if it's not just right. Just do the thing. Just do the thing. And I have to keep telling myself that. Whereas, like, even if my writing comes off as nothing more than just some middle school drivel, at least I can find people that are able to see this and then help me get better with it. And it's like, yeah, I'll sit here and I'll read books and I'll try and like get a better perspective on certain writing styles. But that doesn't mean anything if I don't just try and apply it for myself. I have to do the thing. So that's what I need to work on is doing the thing. Outside of doing that, writing, doing videos, streaming, for me, streaming, I know that I can sit here and say on paper it's not going to be a big component to me. But I also would be lying to myself because knowing me, I'm a little gamer kid at heart that hasn't changed an inklet. And I feel that that is my that is one of the best ways that I can really connect with people outside of what I'm doing right now. Like for me to have started this blog post still in like the last month and now to have gone and transitioned into doing a freaking podcast, which I had been talking about doing with certain people for years, literal years. There have been people, and you know who you are. You're listening to this most likely. It's not. Look, I understand. I might have come at you at a time where you didn't feel confident, or there was too much going on, whatever. But like I had been talking about this for literal years with people and even to myself, and I just never pulled the trigger, and I feel like it was because I wanted to do it with the comfort of others at my side rather than just being comfortable in myself and doing it for myself. And if people get inspired or interested, then they will come. So, yes, it's wild to see how I'm going through I'm still going through this metamorphosis. I see myself as somebody that is like I'm not necessarily late to the party. I was never really one of those people that were like in my earliest inceptions of just like understanding things and feelings and just thoughts being like, yeah, this is what's going to happen. I'm going to make this happen. Like, it was a very slow burn because I'm still trying to deconstruct a lot of the BS that I was fed and that I'm still trying to be fed. But it's like nowadays it's not that simple to feed me the BS. That's the big hit right there. Other things as far as content, and I mean, I will, if you've seen my beacons tree, no you haven't, because if you have then you've seen a certain link, in which case no you haven't. But I do want to do some content, and it is of the spicy persuasion, and it has a very interesting theme to it. I've talked to a few people about this. It would have everything to do with a lot of 80s slasher culture and just very much horror based. But like, it's going to be a lot of pinup stuff, and that is somewhere further down the lines. But that also can help me segue into or double back into like the gaming stuff, because this October, one of the big things that I would love to do is since I didn't get to do that last year because of the whole process I've been through, I want to make that the month where I stream, and I stream a whole lot of horror games. Because that's the one thing that I've always wanted to be a part of. Is like the people that they dedicate October to. This is horror game month, and I want to do that. I would love to do that. I want to be one of those people that gets into doing like horror games on October. And plus, it's my birth month. Why wouldn't I want to do something fun like that during my month, the best month? Because Libra Gang, rise up, and I stand on that. I don't care what anybody has to say. That, you know what? Let me double back. It is a fantastic month. It is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. It is the month of our lovely, lovely Halloween. Like, there's so much that happens during that month. And I have every reason to be ever so, like, dedicated to that month. And it's like, I don't know. I've always been so just proud to be a part of that like month. And it's like there are a lot of things that kind of correlate with my life or just things that I care about, because it's like there's domestic violence, there's Queer History Month. That's Queer History Month. And I think what, ADHD? Yeah, I think that's ADHD Awareness Month as well. There are a couple other ones that I think I'm forgetting, and if that's the case, apologies. But like I know those are like the main, for me those are the main ones that stand out. Is like for queer history, there's breast cancer, there's domestic violence, there's obviously Halloweeny, and like it's just, yeah, great month, 10 out of 10 month. I feel like as far as the weather is concerned and just the way the leaves look, like it's hard. You are hard pressed to beat that month. Anybody that stands summer, I don't trust you, because why does it have to be like 100 degrees for you to feel something? I don't trust you. I don't. I love you, but I do not trust you. Also, the people that hate on winter, like, yes, I get it. It can be a very depressing time of the year, especially if it's snowing and it's super cold. But me, I am very much cryomancer adjacent, and I love that stuff. I'm sorry. I'd rather be ice cold, wrapped up in a blankie, having my hot cocoa, than trying to figure out why I'm getting cooked to literal burntness as soon as I step outside the door. Like, if y'all enjoy that, more power to you. I'm gonna stay inside, enjoy the AC, and since I'm an HVAC tech, I'm probably going to be one of those people trying to fix your AC when it goes bad. And you're like, hey, yeah, I kind of don't like this anymore. We really need some AC. Be like, yeah, you hate it now. Nah, you wanted to enjoy it all the time. You wanted it to be summer all the time. Now look at you. Now you are in dire straits and you need my assistance. How does it feel? Pathetic. Anywho, I think I'm honestly, like, I see that I'm like 8 minutes away, so you know what? I'm gonna put in 8 more minutes of yapping. But what am I gonna talk about? What am I going to talk about? Oh, I guess I could allude to some of the future pod plans. Obviously, I'm going to have guests. I'm going to have some peeps. Now, as far as the next episode, which is going to be coming to us not live, but it's going to be coming to us maybe on the 20th, because I did say this was going to be bi-weekly. So not next week, but the week after that, I will be dropping that episode. It may or may not have a guest. I'm going to work out the logistics of that. And to anybody listening that I've given you a sneak peek of you being a potential guest, I will reach out to you. Some of you I've already reached out to because I would like to make sure that I'm correlating with your schedule. That is the biggest thing for me right now, is like for anybody that I do want to have as a guest, the first thing that is in my brain is, does this work for your schedule? Obviously after, hey, would you like to do an episode with me, is what is your schedule? How can we fit this into your current schedule? So, yeah. Second episode to be decided. I will figure out if that's going to be a special guest episode, in which I do have an idea for a title, an alternate title. Yes, that is what I want to say. An alternate title to help you understand if this is a guest episode or just a Surgi talks about blah blah blah. So yeah, outside of that, going forward, I do know that the month of August I will be in Tennessee. Yes, I will be in Tennessee with my lovelies, my Tennessean lovelies. I feel like I should give shout outs to them, like to my my bona fide rock star darling, Dexter, yes, to my road dog in crime, my fellow Libra. Literally, their birthday is a day after mine, but they are older than me. Milue, also known as Jess. And of course, my elder Sibby Cam Cam, who just celebrated their birthday last week. Oh my goodness, I love them to bits. And so many others from good old Tennessee. Outside of that, I'm still debating because I did talk to my two other civvies as far as like doing a con in August. I'm still not sure about that. Based off of like this whole like planning that I'm doing for August, because I really did want to go. Because this the convention's name is FlameCon. It's based in New York, and it's like the 17th and 18th of August. But honestly, yeah, I think I may not make that one. So to you lovelies, I do apologize for that. It's more so like planning or timing, and also somewhat like finances and traveling. So yeah, c'est la vie until the next one, I suppose. I do want to go and do a con with you guys. I would love to work a table with you guys. No BS. I would love to work a table with you guys. But also, since I mentioned you two, Nat and Key Customs, you should check out their merchandise store. I do want to, I guess I could drop that they are going to be two of my upcoming guests for sure. I definitely want to do a podcast with my civvies. So yeah, that's giving a heads up to what lies ahead in terms of like future episodes. If there are some suggestions, I am open to suggestions. I'm wondering how I want to do this because it's like there's a number of ways that you could just be like, hey, yeah, let me drop this off to Surgi. Obviously, there's my Instagram, there's my threads. You can find me there at Surgi Desu for both. Also, I have a Blue Sky, which is Surgi Desu as well. And as far as like where are some other places? Oh God, yeah. I'm a professional at this. Please understand, I am a professional at this. I am doing this. This is live and in living color. Obviously, here you listening to me here on Spotify at the Surgi First Pod. It is coming together. I think I did pretty well for my first episode, where it's like I didn't really have any breaks per se. Like you have the music at the beginning and the end, but like outside of that, no breaks, baby. What a champion, right? What an absolute warrior. Like I have to pat myself on the back and the booty for that one. And I don't even feel like I got to all the topics that I wanted to talk to as far as like this whole thing, but I think I want to save those for future episodes where it's just me, myself, and I. And yeah, I'm really happy with how I've gone about really just doing the things. Like I'm doing the things that I'm been putting off for the longest time, and it's like it's only gonna get better from here. It's only gonna continue on. And I'm not even just talking about the podcast. I'm just talking about my growth as a person and other things. And you guys should feel like that as well. Anybody that is putting this into your ear holes, you should always feel like it's going to get better, especially in the height of pure fascist madness and other unnecessary BS going on in our world. Like, always know that within you and your community is going to get better because you guys are going to work to make it better. Mercy, mercy. But anyways, my lovelies, my darlings, my sweet beans, the posterior passe. Yes, and that was passe, not the other word. You might have heard that differently than what I said. You need to work on that. Nasty. I feel like this is a great point to start winding down and getting us ready to turn in for the evening and such. Of course, while this is being recorded, it is not really the evening. It's the middle of the day. I decided to record this ahead of time because we were dealing with that crusty, dusty ass holiday that, yeah. I don't know about y'all, but I didn't really do anything for that. I didn't feel like talking about that because it didn't really mean anything to me. So I'm just going to leave that at that. But to all you lovelies, to all you caked up individuals, to all you that are making life work for you, even if you're still playing the game to a degree, I am proud of you. I admire you, adore you. I respect everything that you are working towards and what you've had to endure. And with that, all I have to say to you is to please stay caked up and healed up. I love you. Bye bye.